let's talk about our new signing. So I, for one, am so excited. I've always loved watching Adama Traore play. It's just entertaining, right? And I've been watching a few kind of Wolves fan channels and their reaction to him going, and they seem to be unanimous. But they seem to be completely in agreement that it's a sad loss to them. He seems like a real stand-up guy as well. He does loads of stuff for their supposedly for their sort of off-field sort of charitable causes. Obviously, you mentioned earlier the link up, the very exciting prospect, the link up with Raul. I mean, for me, I think it's a very low risk signing. You know, we've got him on a free. It's a shortish term contract, 2 years with an option for another one. I mean, I think this is. There's no negative really. Faz, how do you feel when you saw the signing confirmed?
What's the catch? What is the
Yeah,
catch?
yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. What is that?
He is the
What is the
catch.
catch? Yeah, exactly. I think there's so much to be excited about this deal. I hope this doesn't come back to bite me, but I feel like he's a very good fit for what we have because he can operate on both sides, which is good for us as well. He's incredibly dynamic. There's so many obvious things you can talk about with him as well. He does get a bit of a bad rap on some social media circles that he's just a one-trick pony, he just picks up from deep and runs. I think it does a real disservice to the type of player and the quality he has with the ball at his feet. I think he does offer a lot more. You don't play this many times in the Premier League or play for Barcelona by accident, by being one dynamic. I think he's just going to fit really, really well. I don't expect him to come in and start pulling up trees literally and figuratively. Marco Silva's going to do what he's done with most other players in the squad, is slowly integrate them into the team. Marco is a tactical perfectionist. He'll spend some time with them on the training ground and integrating them into the style of play and how they should do patterns of play and those kinds of stuff. So, I hope that he proves me wrong and scores 3 on his debut.
Yeah, it really makes me laugh when people say, "Oh, they're a one-trick pony." It's a bit like when you hear people criticize strikers who get loads of goals as tap-in merchants, as if strikers like, "Oh yeah, all Adama Traore does is pick it up from deep, beat 2 men, and then blast it into the box." Like, oh yeah, what an idiot! Like, that's, as if that makes him any less of a player. He's actually got the mad stat. Traore's got the most successful dribbles in the Premier League since 2018-2019. So of the 797 dribbles attempted, dribbles completed 542, which is more than Wilfried Zaha, Alanson Maximan, Dwight McNeil, Raheem Sterling, who are next on the list. So, I mean, he's a player with Premier League pedigree. And that Faz, you touched upon it there. And we also had a question here from It's Only Fulham. Is he a super sub, or should he replace, say, Harry or Willian Harry Wilson is what It's Only Fulham is suggested here in the starting 11? I anticipate that we'll see him as a sort of dynamic, shake it up super sub. Dan,
I think eventually he comes in and starts Coops. I think if you look, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm like gobsmacked that this transfer's happened. By the way, like I didn't think we had this pulling power. I'm surprised. I know that his stock's relatively low at the moment, given that he fell out with Wolves and he didn't really want to play, and then he stayed against his will, and Barca couldn't afford him, and all of these things. But I'm so shocked that he's ended up with us. Realistically, I would have expected him after everything to have probably ended up in Saudi. That he's like prime player that they would have loved to have picked up. And the fact we've got him I'm so excited. And really, I think if things go well, and given the bedding in time, he will become our first choice winger, because this man is at his best unplayable. And to reduce him to just being a super sub, I think does him a disservice, because it's easy to look at someone quick, and I think everyone instantly thinks of Dan James, and you're like, oh, lob him on to try and change the game, or when we're trying to see something out and have a counter-attacking option. No, I think you start this man and you try and put attacks through him, and he will make things happen. It's so exciting. I can't remember the last time we had a player that I genuinely got so excited about to watch them play for Fulham.
Abubakar Kamara. But I think the one thing that a couple of people have said about Adama that I 100% agree with is that he's in that kind of group of players that what Alan St. Maximan comes to mind, where you're absolutely terrified when he's running at your defence. So to have him on your side is a really, really relieving feeling. So I think that's the biggest. And again, another good judge is always how his old club feel about him, and the fact that they're upset he's left. That's another big plus for us. I'm not as bullish about him starting straight away. I think Harry Wilson's got a lot of credit in the bank, but I don't disagree about what Dan says about what he can offer us.
Traore famously got that goal that all but sealed our fate at Craven Cottage for Wolves. It was the first time he'd scored in about a year or something. So we're all too familiar with when he can put on his finishing boots, which I think is the only real criticism to his game that comes around quite a lot, other than the fact that he's a one-trick pony and taking around four men and having successful dribbles. But I'm really, really excited. I think that he was expecting bigger clubs to come in for him. But if we've learned one thing about Fulham over these last years, is that we are very, very good at getting the best out of players who maybe, as Dan mentioned, a bit low. Their stock is a little bit low with a bit of a point to prove, and he certainly fits that mold. I mean, yeah, I'm buzzing for this one. I might even get a shirt. First shirt in a few years. what number he's going to get? What number is
he got number 11? He's got number 11, hasn't he?
Oh, my favourite number. I'm sold. I'm making
The
that
other
purchase
thing
immediately after recording. Yes, Dan?
that I think is worth adding is, and this might be a negative view, but it's a positive thing, is that he's got massive resale value if this goes right.
Yeah.
Like, we've got a huge like if he has a great season, and having signed him for free, teams are willing to spend for players like this, and so the fact that we've got him a 2-year deal plus an extra year, we've got a seriously valuable asset. And actually,
especially if he makes it back into the Spain squad, because he made his 8th cap not 18 months ago. So if he gets back into the Spain squad off one good season, he could be worth a lot of money.
It's just it's such a smart deal from the club, and it's bad that we're so surprised by it, but it really is. And it's super exciting. It's like when we signed Sonny Aluko, but like a million times better.
I'll have no bad words to say about Shoney. What a player.
Do we not need to give the recruitment team a bit of credit? Because it's not the first time they've done this in the last 3 or 4 years. You know, the amount of players that have come in for Leno 3 million, Tete 2 million, Tosin 2 million, Freeze for Willian, and now Adama. They keep getting it spot on, you know. They keep getting it really spot on. It's a big improvement from when the Khans first came in, the sort of business they were doing. I think, there needs to be an element of credit that we've not given them in the past there.
Yeah, hats off. Who knows? Maybe we'll see him grace the Craven Cottage turf against Brentford on Saturday.